Hey guys, today we're going to go through group dashboards. So adding on to our athlete-based dashboards where you could of course look at one athlete at a time, we're now looking at group-based. Very similarly, if I go to create a new dashboard, you'll now see we have two prompts. So we can either select the athlete-based dashboard, looking at one individual athlete at a time, or we can look at a broader view and look at a group-based dashboard. And that's what I've created in the background here. So we've picked our group and we can see all the athletes who are in it. And then I've got my time frame. So working really similarly to our athlete-based dashboards. Of course, we can start to add widgets as well. So for example, if I just scroll down here, I can add a widget. And again, they're split into three distinct sections as previous by the athlete version. We've got our monitor, where again, we're going to monitor our group's trends and performance over time. We've got our profiling aspect where we want to profile our group's, again, physical status. We're looking at certain KPIs on that or targets. And then we want to be able to compare athletes within the group to each other and how they're doing compared to each other. The example I have in the background here is a really nice depiction of how this looks. So very quickly, what I've got here is I've got a bench press looking at estimated 1RM, and we're actually looking at the group average over time. So you can see estimated 1RM looking at average scores here. And very nicely, it tells me that even though I've got 178 athletes in this particular group, overall, we're having a plus 8% increase in estimated 1RM across the entire group, which is really nice to see. And just being able to get that objective data back very quickly is obviously so important. Something that we couldn't do as easily beforehand. Scrolling down, we now have a separate widget looking at something very similar. So again, it's a back squat estimated 1RM and CMJ jump height. So we're cross comparing two particular metrics here. And the benefit behind this is being able to obviously see if there's certain trends that are kind of taking place. So naturally, if we were doing a more of a well-rounded approach in a program, particularly looking at plyometrics based and strength orientated, we would like to see that these figures are going up. In this case, they're actually going slightly down. So again, for me, if I'm coaching, I've got an area to address a little bit more on. If I move over to unilateral based, so this is now a target based chart. And what I can actually do with this is I can set a target for their straight leg raise, and it's going to show me each side, and I can hover over and see those individual scores. So I can see who's actually hitting those targets and who isn't. And I can scroll across and see who else maybe hasn't completed it. The benefit again behind this is being able to see things like this. If we look at Abby, we can actually see that her left side is a little bit weaker than her right, or a little bit less range of motion, but she's actually exceeding it on her right. So it identifies very quickly how she's doing. Same kind of goes for the next couple of athletes. Paddy's doing well, he's hitting both targets on each leg, and so on and so forth from there. Very similarly put, we can now look at a 10-5 base score kind of assessment. And again, this is looking at a group average. But the difference now is we're now looking at separate thresholds. The benefit behind this is we can start to set thresholds for our athletes when it comes to, let's say, readiness-based assessments. So we have a 10-5 score test, and we can say to our athletes, okay, we want you to be hitting over 90%. So we want you to be in that green ideally. All that simply means is that your fatigue is minimized, you've recovered really well, and you're well able for the workout today. You can push on a little bit further. If you're some of the athletes who are in this gray zone, who are just in between that 70 and 90%, you could say, okay, I want you to pull it back slightly today. Let's really focus on, movement prep and kind of probably replicating in terms of weight lifted and reps you did last week, but moving on speed of bar or intent focused. If you're the athletes who are in the red, so below the 70 mark, the second mark, we really want to focus on recovery here. So again, from an athlete perspective, all they have to do is see which color they are and where they kind of fall in that zone, and very quickly they can action upon it. And then lastly, very simply put, is a back squat. Again, estimated 1RM as well, because it's a nice depiction. And we've got an average of their estimated 1RM across the entire group. So very similarly put to this line chart I have here, except the only difference is it now splits it between athletes themselves. And I can see who's over that average value, who's maybe below it. So when this comes to team-based sports, and particularly position-based sports, let's say we look at rugby and we split them into forwards and backs, we would ideally like players playing in similar positions to each other to be in around the same kind of numbers. And this is a very quick way that we can kind of assess, are they hitting those scores or are they where we need to be? And again, obviously from an intent and competitive standpoint, is to raise the bar. Can they do better, so to speak, over time? So again, that's how you use group dashboards, guys. Hopefully it provided a lot of insight for you guys in your testing, and we really hope you enjoy this brand new feature.